Good morning, student. Once again, I am Alok Brave, brought from Abuja Public School, brought another video on the chapter second, economic goals, features, and policies. Right. So today we are going to study about, you know, role of agriculture and problem of agriculture. Today we are going to study about these two things. Now, now the first point in the category of role of what is the role of agriculture. We are going to discuss here what is the role of agriculture, how agriculture has helped in development of the country. This we are going to discuss in this topic, role of agriculture. What is the contribution of agriculture in Indian economy, that we will highlight here. Now see, contribution in national income. Contribution in national income means, right, it has great share. It has great share in national income before and after independence, but in the 1991 its share was started decreasing, but still it is enough. That is around after independence it was around 51% share. Now it is around 26% share. Right. See, so we can say it is contributing in national income. It is contribution. It has made contribution in national income. Right. Now, my dear student, so this contribution in national income has helped to raise our GDP, the GDP of India, gross domestic production of India. Then second point we will highlight here, that is contribution in employment. It is still the largest sector, largest employment providing sector, right, after independence. Right, 80% people of India was employed in agriculture sector after independence. Right, see, but gradually this pressure is decreasing on the agriculture sector. Now the tertiary sector is the largest employment providing sector now at present, in present time. But earlier, which sector was the largest employment providing sector? That is agriculture sector. That is agriculture sector. Agriculture sector. Now see, contribution in foreign trade. Various type of products we are producing in India, various type of crops we are producing in India, and these crops are exported in foreign countries. You can say fruits are there, spices are there, even rice is there, sugarcane is there, onion is there. There are various export producing crops we are producing, right? Even we are exporting cotton, right? So these all things are coming from agriculture sector, and they are part of export, and they are bringing foreign currency in India, right? So contribution of agriculture sector in the foreign trade cannot be neglected. Cannot be neglected. In the same way, it also provides food and fodder. It also provides food and fodder. My dear, it provides food for self-consumption also, for marketable surplus also, and for animals also. Right? It provides various type of fodder. Fodder means pashuon ka chara. Right? See, it is providing various type of fodder for the animals so that they can be reared. They can be reared easily, right? And they can get the food of their taste. So we cannot forget the role of agriculture sector in providing food and fodder. It also fulfills our basic need. Without food, we cannot survive. My dear student. So these are the main points related with the role of agriculture. The next topic we are going to start with problem of agriculture. Now, such a big role agriculture is playing in Indian economy, but still it is suffering from various type of problem. The problems of agriculture can be highlighted in three parts. The first part is general problems. Second part is institutional problem. Third part is, technical problem. So these are the three type of problems mainly, faced by the agriculture sector. Under general problems, we can study following point: land degradation. Land degradation is the first point, sub point of the general problems. Here, land is degrading, means land is losing its fertility. Land is losing its fertility. Why? Because farmers are sowing same type of crop again and again. Same type of crop again and again. Right? See, my dear student, this is utmost important to study that land degradation is taking place in India. So, as a result of growing same type of crop, some minerals are vanishing from the earth, from the core, from the earth crust. Right? See, so this is the major cause of degradation of land. Right? See, so farmers should be. There are various solutions for this problem also, which we discuss later on. So land degradation means sowing the crop by farmers again and again. Sowing same type of crop by the farmers again and again, that is called land degradation. It causes land degradation. Sowing of crop again and again causes land degradation, and land start losing its fertility. Land start losing its fertility. Then subsistence farming. Subsistence farming means farmers are generally raising crop for their basic needs, for their family needs. That is called subsistence consumption. We call it subsistence consumption also. Subsistence consumption, we call it. We call it subsistence consumption also, my dear student. So, this is why happening. This is why happening in India. Because the size of land holding is less than 2 hectares. Is less than 2 hectares. That is the reason. That is the reason. Size of land holding is less than 2 hectares. Subsistence consumption. Right? So, most means most of the farmers are small and marginal. It means most of the farmers are small and marginal. Right? So, they can produce only for self-consumption rather than for marketable surplus. Right? See, the third point in this category is pressure of population on land. Pressure of population on land. The third point is pressure of population on land. Pressure of population on land means as size of population is increasing. As size of population is increasing, if children are not getting employment, then what farmers are doing, they are adjusting those their children, their wards on the cultivation of land, on the cultivation of land. So the size of land is becoming small, and people who are working on it are more. People who are working on it are more. So we can say the pressure of population is on land. In this way we can say that pressure of population is on. If children are educated and they are not getting employment, then what happens? Finally they are going to back to their villages and doing cultivation. Right? Right? This type of situation generates disguised unemployment. This type of situation generates disguised unemployment because children are not getting proper employment, and they themselves find employment on a limited area of land which belongs to their ancestor. Right? See, in this way we can say the pressure of population is increasing on land. Right? So this is another problem of, general problem of agriculture. This is another problem of agriculture. Next, social environment. Social environment, most of the farmers are illiterate and uneducated. Right? They have various type of religious belief. They have various type of religious belief which are injurious to them, and for the growth of agriculture and for the growth of their families. So this is another reason, this is another part of general problem. Social environment. They don't want to move from their own villages in search of job to another state. Right? Another state. Because they want to live with their, kins, relatives and kins. Right? Right, or whatever may be the condition, they want to stay there. They don't want to leave their parents. They don't want to leave their families in order to search employment. So this is another reason that social environment is like that, bonding. There is a full bonding in the families. Right, we can say bonding in the families, and all the family members are deeply related. This situation exists in, right, what type of problem? General problem. So social environment. The social environment is that we like to live in joint families. Right? This is a type of environment. Right. Now the next is crop losses. Crop losses means due to famine, outbreak or spread of epidemic, sometimes crops are destroyed. Right? Sometimes pest attack is there. Right? Sometimes insect attack is there. So all these, gives major loss to the farmers. Right? So crop losses are the another serious problem, general problem for agriculture. Now, my dear student, there is a second point. Second part we are going to study about it. Institutional problems. Institutional problems means first institutional problem is structure problems. Right? What type of structure we have of agriculture in India? Now the first or what type of reform should be taken, should have to be taken to remove the institutional problem. This we will study in further part of the chapter. Now here we are doing tenancy reforms. means there is a need of reforms, right? So that the landless farmers, who landless farmer, landless farmer cultivating land, cultivating land must not be removed from the middle of the year from the tenancy, right, from the tenancy. It has been seen in the older times when the farmers are not able to pay the rent or lagan to the landlord, they used to kick out landlord, so they used to kick out peasants or farmer from the cultivation of land. It causes them to starvation. It causes them to starve, right? So this thing should not be. This was the problem, and this thing should not be exist in India. Now, see what it was exist during before the independence and before the tenancy reforms, right? Farmers, even zamindars used to tell farmers to vacate the land, and he has to vacate the land because otherwise landlord will use his force or power to get land evicted, to get land evicted or evacuated, right? So this was the reason. So tenancy reforms were required in the agriculture sector. Number second, lack of credit and marketing facilities. This was another important point. According to this point, earlier after independence, banks were not willing to give credit to the agriculture sector. Why they were not? Because the interest rate yield cannot be yield at high rate from agriculturists, that is farmers, right? So, and they were not also willing to give small and marginal farmers loans, right? So this was the another reason. But now this problem has been sorted out. Then marketing facilities were not developed after independence immediately, right? Still we require more and more marketing facilities, and farmers should know very well that where these goods will be, where their crop or goods will be sold, right, or purchased by the businessmen or traders or government, and they should know about the mandis, right, at which location mandis is near, right? They should know, and where what type of prices they are going to get for production of their crops. Now next, size of holding. The size of holdings are generally very small with the farmers. Most of the farmers are small and marginal. Their land size is less than 2 hectares. This is the another problem. My dear, so size of land holding does not encourages more production. That does not encourages more production, because on a small plot we can generate small amount of crops, food grains, right, and which is generally sufficient for their self consumption, and it generates subsistence farming also, right. Next, technical problems. Technical problem means old technology. Most of the farmers are using old technology. The old technology is used by the farmers, those who are small, and some marginal farmers are also using this technology, right? See, still in mountainous or hilly region, this technology is people are doing cultivation with the help of this technology. So my dear student, old technology is still in use. It should be removed in the production of agriculture goods. Right, cropping pattern. The cropping pattern is not scientific. My dear student, cropping pattern should be scientific, and most of the farmers should follow the scientific cropping. But the cropping pattern is our old traditional cropping pattern we are using. So my dear student, this is another problem faced in the agriculture sector. The last problem in this category is irrigational facilities. Irrigational facilities are not developed. You can say your Rajasthan still does not have proper irrigation facility in Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, right, Gujarat, Maharashtra, some areas of UP, Uttar Pradesh, right. So these are the places, Telangana, right. These are the some places where agriculture is not available properly, right. Agricultural facilities is another problem, and that is why during the drought time, the agriculture crop of the farmer destroyed, right. They are totally dependent on the rainfall. If the rainfall is good, then their crops will become good. Their productivity will be good. Otherwise, vice versa. So this is another still problem. Still, it is not sorted out by the state government and government of India. This problem should be sorted out so that farmers could gain. The next problem is related with agrarian reforms. Dear student, last topic for today is land reforms. What type of land reforms were taken by the government of India after independence? First, abolition of landlords, tenancy reforms. Second, reorganization. These are the three reforms which have various subpoints. The abolition of landlord system is the zamindari system was abolished by the government, right? The abolition, their land, excess land were taken by the government from the landlord zamindar Jakidar. Then next is tenants. This I have already discussed with you in the chapter first, right? See, this is the abolition of landlord system. Tenancy reforms. Tenancy reforms were related to the tenant, right? Sometimes, you know what is tenant? Tenant means kirayedar, right? Landless laborers are take land on contract of 1 year from the big landlords, So under this reform, right, three type of reforms have been made. That is security of tenure, right? Security of tenure, ownership for tenant, ownership rights for tenant. Then two reforms were taken. Sorry, I beg your pardon. Not three reforms. Security of tenure means the farmers who have been allotted land or given land on rent by the landlords, they have no right to take back land from the farmer in between the year forcibly. They cannot take any land or they cannot grab land from the farmers who has taken their land on contract basis, on rent basis for a year, right? They have no right. Right. This security of tenure has been implemented by the government, by the law and legislation. Then ownership right for the tenant, right? Ownership lands were allotted to the tenant. Lands were allotted to the tenants who were cultivating the land, and they were landless labor, and they were told by the government to pay the money in installment or they can purchase these land from the landlord after paying the amount of money, a fixed amount of money. Right, see, which was decided by the government of India. So this ownership rights for the tenant means they can take, they can take or they can purchase land after paying fixed amount of money to the landlord. This was happened in India, right, in South and in West Bengal, and these ownership rights were protected very well, and security of tenure is protected very well in West Bengal, in Kerala particularly, right, in these two states. Right, see, my dear student, reorganization of land. Third point is reorganization of land. Under this, land was redistributed. Land was redistributed. Right, means redistribution of land has been taken place by, or we can call it, we can say land distribution. Then second point is land ceilings. Land ceilings were imposed by the government. Land ceiling means it means a situation in which a person cannot carry land more than fixed amount, which the amount of land is fixed by the government. So a person cannot carry land, excess land in his name, right? Only he can carry that much amount of land under his name, which is fixed by the state government, So land ceilings were, in two states, these are used effectively, Kerala and West Bengal. These laws are strictly used here particularly. Then consolidation of land holding means. Consolidation of land holding means, means providing land, a big piece of land to a farmer who have land at 3-4 different places. This is called consolidation of land holding. For example, I can complete it with the help of an example. Now see here. For example, Alok sir has land here. A point, this is B point, this is C point. Right. Suppose here it is 5 bigha. 6 bigha, 3 bigha. Right. So if I want land in front of my home in my same village, then what will happen? Government will take this 6 bigha land and 3 bigha land from here and give me here instead of total 14 bigha land, because I have only total 14 bigha land. So I will get land at one place, right? And this land will be, joined with my old piece of land, right? So it means I will have one big piece of land. So it will be easy for me in cultivation of the land and giving watering, providing, giving pesticide, and to look after the land. It will be very easy. Otherwise, at 3 different places, it takes time to go there to cultivate the land, right? From here I will go there, from there I will come here. So it will waste a lot of time in moving from one village to another village and from other village to next village. So this situation was avoided if government provides me land at one place. I will surrender those 2 pieces of land and I will acquire land in a village which is near to my house, or in the same village where my house is made. Right, see, this is called consolidation of land holding. Then comes cooperative farming. Cooperative farming means when farmer joins their land. Farmer joins their land. Farmer joins their land. But the land will remain under their name. It means ownership will not be transferred. Ownership of the land will not be transferred to cooperative farming. It will remain in the name of a person, the name of the farmer who has earlier owning it. So my dear student, so cooperative farming means when all the village join. Right. Suppose in a village seventeen pieces of land exist. 17 pieces of land exist. I am giving an example of it, cooperative farming. 17 pieces of 17 farmers own the land. This is a village of 17 farmers. If the farmers agrees to join their land, then and do the collective production, then it will be called as cooperative farming. Right? This will provide them big area, very big area for cultivation of the land. Right? And these boundaries will be over. These boundaries will be over. Right? See, and it will give more space for the production of agriculture. Right? And it will raise certainly agriculture production, and they can divide it according to their size of land. Right? And the profit will be divided according to the share of the land among the farmer. In this way, cooperative farming works. The land ownership remain same, right? It does not change even after joining their land. Joining the land by the land ownership does not transfer to the cooperative society. It remains under the name of that person who is the previous owner, and he will remain the current owner. In case of any dispute, they can segregate their land pieces. Right? So this is the way of doing the cooperative farming. So I am Alok. So okay, thank you student, you are listening with a great patience to me. So once again I am going back. Tomorrow I will come with another video, and thank you. God bless you. Good day.